Metric Environmental Inc. is Canada's premier water solution and environmental consulting company. Blue Metric provides a full range of environmental consulting services supported by bespoke engineering solutions for emergency, self-contained, and permanent water systems, and is always mission ready with a full range of in-house support to ensure your mission is a success.
And welcome back to the Over the Horizon podcast here at Mass 2023. I'm Alan Dale. This is my good buddy Jerry Crew. We are Gale Force Winds, and this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Blue Metric. Peter, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure, Alan and Jerry, it's great to be here. Congratulations on everything you guys have been doing last year. It's been a busy year for you guys. So this is our 15th year putting on Halifax International Security Forum. We're an annual meeting in November in Halifax, and what we do is we bring the world to Halifax. It's a meeting that started in 2009 to bring and educate defense ministers. Defense ministers, chiefs of defense, they spend a lot of time all year speaking to each other. Only they don't get that much time just to sit and think. We try to create a retreat atmosphere in Halifax where they can come and they can hear from other voices, new voices, Canadian voices, give them an opportunity to think about all the challenges they faced over the past year. It's in November, and then they have an opportunity to think about the year ahead. And then one other thing that makes Halifax International Security Forum is that it's just for the good guys. We don't invite the Russians, we never did. We don't invite the Chinese, we never did. The Iranians, and so it's an opportunity really to sort of compare notes. A lot of Americans come up, and then we take it from there, and everybody leaves on Sunday morning with a sense of optimism that we can really meet the challenges ahead.
What an incredible offering. Now, you say 15 years?
This is going to be our 15th year, yeah.
Wow. Has the world changed in 15 years, and the conversations? How has it evolved from your point of view?
Alan, so we came out of 2008, but the first one was in 2009, so we came out of the economic crisis. 2008 was the first Olympic Games hosted by China. It was the year that Russia invaded its smaller neighbor, Georgia. It was the economic crisis, and it was the election of Barack Obama in the United States. It's a momentous year. The Minister of Defense at that time was Peter MacKay, and he felt that Canada was not getting its fair shake in the international space, that people weren't recognizing what Canada was doing. And so we came together then, if you remember. Big topic of conversation then was terrorism, Afghanistan. We moved up. We had the Arab Spring in 2011, and then we've moved and we've broadened what we talk about. We talk about climate change. We talk about migration, immigration, and economic trade. And now, of course, we are fixated on what's happening in Ukraine as a result of Russia's attack and its aggression in Ukraine. And all along, though, we've had our eye on China. So China's been a mainstay of sort of a theme for the last 15 years.
What an opportunity for a group to come together, as you say, separate themselves from the day-to-day.
That's exactly right.
These folks are dealing with challenging issues minute by minute back home. To get that moment to provide some thought, hear some new ideas, fresh perspectives, what an offering to the world.
Yeah, it's something that, frankly, Canada, and specifically Atlantic Canada, even more specifically Nova Scotia, but Atlantic Canada really is part of the secret of the success. These are busy people. They get off the plane, and they're sort of, sometimes even they don't even know what's happening to them, but they've been embraced when they arrive in Atlantic Canada, and then it creates a mood where their guard is down, and they are in an environment that is friendly and wholesome and nurturing and ready for constructive conversations and dialogue. And it really couldn't happen anywhere else on Earth.
Right. And it's so interesting that you articulate it in that fashion, right? Because here we are, people that you wouldn't be really talking about the warmth of the embrace of the community around them, but that happens, and that, as you so rightly points out, allows people to let that guard down. And when that's down, now the conversation can start.
That's exactly right. And, part of that is, the Americans come, senior Americans, the Secretary of Defense, many United States senators, 4 stars, and again, like I said, they come, they feel the warmth, and also because China's not there, Russia's not there, they're surrounded by friends. They know that if there's a disagreement, that it's well intended, it's in a friendly way, so they'll take it in the right way, as opposed that if the Russians are there, the Chinese are there, the Americans get their back up, and they feel that they've got to be on, and it creates a whole different environment. So it's a special place.
I'm trying to picture you on the first one.
Yeah.
You're on the phone trying to get these people. Like, I can't even fathom how this actually came to be.
Yeah, well, I actually told the story earlier. It was actually a meeting that took place in Brussels in the spring of 2009. I had organized a meeting for a different organization, and Canada's Minister of Defense, who was the Honourable Peter MacKay, showed up. He had just landed, coming from Afghanistan, and he had walked into the main plenary room just wearing a leather jacket and jeans, just got off the plane, and there were some Americans and Europeans on a panel discussing Afghanistan, and somebody asked a question: what's going to happen when Canada winds up its activities in Kandahar? And a European senior official answered the question by saying, Canada is the United States. And they didn't know that Canada's defense minister was in the room. And Peter MacKay made a beeline for me, and he said, it's time that we do a major international event in Canada. And so he did play a very important role, fundamentally. I mean, making sure that first event was a success. Getting on the phone, he was the one getting on the phone, and then it just rolled from there.
So November, just around the corner here for the next one.
Yeah.
What are the themes of this year's event?
Well, we try to make the themes as late as possible so they are as relevant as possible.
Okay.
We know what we're going to be talking about generally. We're going to be talking about what just happened at the NATO meeting in Lithuania. We're going to be talking about Putin and Ukraine and Zelensky's heroic work to keep Ukraine standing. Canada, America's, NATO's push to make sure it has the weapon systems that it needs. And I think we're going to be talking about really this year the interconnectedness of all of the security challenges. I think we're finding that as Ukraine goes, China is involved. We're finding out more and more about the equipment that China is sending to Russia. But also here in Atlantic Canada, Nova Scotia, we've had incredible weather events. We've had fires this past weekend. We've had floods. We've got incredible heat in the United States and in Europe. And this is, I think policymakers' minds are now looking at all of these. They don't get a day off. Every day is something. Yeah. Something's coming. And we sort of want to look at the interconnectivity of all of this, smart investments going forward. And again, then we strive to leave on Sunday with a sense of optimism that working together, the democracies, Canada, the United States, Europe, Japan, Korea, that all of us together can solve the challenges ahead.
Yeah, you use words that would not traditionally be found in that defense security, sort of a warmth of an embrace and optimism, and these are different style words for this type of event. Tell me this, important topics discussed, important ideas brought forward. How does the public access what has happened there and to be a part of it, because people are starved for information now.
Yeah, so from our website, which is www.halifaxtheforum.org, people can watch the plenary sessions. There's 8 plenary sessions. They can watch all of them. They can follow our Twitter feed, again, Halifax the Forum. The other thing that we do, which is really important, is that we select civil society, Canadians, Europeans, people coming from Africa, people whose lives are affected by the decisions that are made in Ottawa, in Washington, so that, again, our policymakers get an opportunity to meet and hear real people and understand sort of the weight of their duty.
Well, is there anything done like this anywhere else in the world?
Not exactly. There are other big events, but what the other events do is that they don't really. When we say Halifax International Security Forum, we know what it is that we are aiming to secure. It is our way of life. It is our children's future. There are other events, but they've sort of they can't identify that as, and so they would put the Russians and the Chinese on the same level with the Canadians or the Americans. And I think that has actually led to a misunderstanding of really what we stand for. Democracies are better than the alternative, and I don't think we should be afraid or embarrassed to say that. No. We've fought for our way of life, people have died for our way of life, and now it's up to us and our children to carry it forward.
Peter, a very exciting work that you do, and vitally important to our way of life. You came over to Mass 2020. I'm sure you've been at Mass before, traveling all the defense circuits. Tell me how Mass separates from the others, a small, intimate engagement of our community. Tell me your impressions.
Yeah, this is a very important meeting, and I got to tell you, it is tempting to look at issues like Arctic safety, Arctic security at 30,000 feet. What Mass does is it gets us right down to the ground. We understand the importance of learning about the communities and the involvement of the local communities in all of the issues that we're working on. And that really is fundamentally the point. Public policy, foreign policy, it is about people. And sometimes folks who are making decisions in offices, they forget that that's the nature of the work. It is about people, and I think that is one of the really important things about Mass, and I'm really delighted to be here.
Great. CATA, great organization.
Fabulous.
Pulling its members together in a different way, that Atlantic Canadian feel to it. Concierge-style service. Your interactions with the CATA, all been positive?
All positive, incredibly impressive. The membership is unbelievable. What Victoria has done with her leadership over the last 6-7 years is really great, and I'm really, really optimistic about the future of aerospace industry in Atlantic Canada.
Jerry, your thoughts?
Well, I can't help but think about how important the work it is that you do. You really got me when you talked about the country. I've been lucky enough to travel this country all over. Yeah. We do have to defend this country. Yeah. We do, and I think what you're doing is incredibly important.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, a lot of Canadians, and probably myself when I was younger, didn't understand how lucky we really are. But you travel around the world and you see it pretty quickly. And what we have is pretty special, and we better keep it.
Peter, I want to thank you for your leadership on this file. Vital work that you're doing. I have to tell you again, I enjoyed your choice of wording, how you describe it. You certainly bring it to a more personal level. What could be a very cold topic, you make it very relatable, as I'm sure the conference is in its nature. So thanks for your leadership. Thanks for your service to our country by doing that.
That's really great of you to say. It means a great deal to me. And congratulations again, gentlemen, on what you're doing. It's amazing work. Thank you.
BlueMetric wants to partner and work with Atlantic Canadian industries and organizations who are concerned about the water health of our planet and the people who inhabit it in an environmentally and culturally sensitive manner. BlueMetric wants to join the growing number of like-minded, innovative Atlantic Canadian companies who are changing the environmental landscape for the globe in a world-class way.